My name is Thomas Walker. I am 68 years old, and until a few years ago, I believed I had lived a good life. I was not rich, but I had enough. I had a small house near the sea, good neighbors, and many memories. My wife, Helen, passed away 9 years ago after a long illness. Losing her was the hardest thing I had ever experienced. After she died, the house became very quiet. Every morning, I woke up alone. I made my own breakfast, watered the flowers in the garden, and spent most afternoons sitting on the porch. The only thing that kept me going was my son. His name was Ryan. Ryan moved to Australia almost 15 years ago. He worked as an engineer and earned a good living. He had a beautiful wife and 2 children. I was proud of him. Whenever someone asked about my son, I smiled and talked about his success. The truth, however, was that we rarely spoke anymore. When he first moved away, he called me every weekend. Then it became once a month. Then once every few months. Sometimes he would send me money even, though I never asked for it. I did not need money. I only wanted to hear my son's voice. Many nights, I sat in my living room looking at old family photographs. There was one picture I loved the most. It showed Ryan when he was 8 years old, sitting on my shoulders at the beach. Every time I looked at that picture, I remembered the little boy who never wanted to leave my side. I often wondered where that little boy had gone. One cold afternoon, something unexpected happened. I heard a car stop outside my house. I looked through the window and froze. A tall man stepped out of the car. At first, I could not believe my eyes. Then I recognized him. It was Ryan, my son. I rushed to the door and opened it before he could knock. "Dad," he said with a smile. For a moment, I felt like the happiest man in the world. I hugged him tightly. I had not seen him in almost 4 years. We spent the evening talking. He told me stories about his work, his children, and life in Australia. For the first time in years, my house felt alive again. That night, I went to bed smiling. I thought my son had finally come back because he missed me. I had no idea how wrong I was. The next morning, Ryan sat across from me at the kitchen table. He looked serious. "Dad," he said, "I've been thinking about you." I smiled. "That's good to hear." He laughed. Then he said something that changed everything. "I don't think you should live here alone anymore." I looked around my small kitchen. This house had been my home for more than 40 years. Every wall carried memories. Every room reminded me of my wife. "I am doing fine," I replied. Ryan shook his head. "No, Dad, you're getting older. What if something happens? What if you fall? What if nobody is there to help you?" His words worried me. I had thought about those things myself. Then he made an offer. "Come to Australia with me. Live near my family. You'll see your grandchildren every day." The idea sounded wonderful. For years, I had dreamed about spending time with my grandchildren. Ryan continued speaking. "You won't be lonely anymore." For the first time, I started thinking seriously about leaving. Over the next few days, he talked about it constantly. He showed me pictures of his neighborhood. He told me about parks, restaurants, and community centers. Everything sounded perfect. Then he suggested something else. We should sell the house. I hesitated. Selling the house felt like saying goodbye to my entire life. But Ryan convinced me. "You don't need it anymore, Dad. It's just a building." I wanted to trust him. After all, he was my son. A few weeks later, the house was sold. Almost everything I owned was gone. The money from the sale was transferred into an account Ryan helped me set up. I believed we were preparing for my new life. On the morning of our flight, I locked the front door for the last time. I stood outside for several minutes. I knew I would never see that house again. At the airport, Ryan handled most of the paperwork. Everything seemed normal. When we reached the departure area, he suddenly looked at me. "Dad, wait here. I'll get someone to help you with your luggage." I nodded. He walked away. I watched him disappear into the crowd. 10 minutes passed, then 20, then 30. I checked my watch again. Ryan still had not returned. At first, I wasn't worried. Airports are busy places. I assumed there had been a delay. An hour passed, then another. My stomach began to tighten. Something felt wrong, very wrong. Eventually, an airport employee approached me. "Sir, are you all right?" I explained the situation. The employee listened carefully. Then he asked for my son's name. A few minutes later, he returned. His face looked serious. I immediately knew something was wrong. "Sir," he said quietly, "your son boarded the flight?" I stared at him. "What do you mean?" "He boarded alone." For several seconds, I could not speak. I felt as if the world had stopped moving. "No," I whispered. "There must be some mistake." But there was no mistake. Ryan had left. He had taken the money. He had taken everything. And he had abandoned me in an airport thousands of miles from the life I once had. I sat there in complete silence. My heart felt empty. I was not angry. I was not shouting. I was simply broken. Then something unexpected happened. The airport employee sat beside me. His name was James. He listened to my story. When I finished, he remained quiet for a moment. Then he said something I will never forget. "Sometimes family is not the people who are related to us. Sometimes family is the people who choose to stay." Those words stayed with me. James helped me find temporary housing. He introduced me to his wife. They treated me with kindness and respect. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, I began rebuilding my life. I would never get my house back. I would never recover the years I lost. But I learned something important. Not every person who leaves you is your loss. Sometimes they lose far more than you do. Today, I still think about Ryan. I still pray for him. I still hope he changes one day. But I no longer wait by the phone. I no longer sit alone, hoping he will return. Because life taught me a lesson I never expected. The people who truly care about you prove it through their actions, not their promises. And sometimes, the family you find is stronger than the family you were born with. My name is Thomas Walker. This is my story. What would you have done if you were in my place?